Okay. All right. Welcome everyone to a new episode of Women's Empowerment Series. I have a wonderful guest today. Such an honor.
Hello. Can you hear?
Ah, I thought it was doubling. That's the thing about live. I've had an echo. So this is amazing. So honored to have you with me, Shaya. It's the Women's Empowerment Series is a series where we invite amazing female leaders from around the world who are making an impact and who are doing good to empower others, to inspire and to share their stories, and we have an amazing story of a woman connecting from New York. Welcome, Shaya. It's such an honor to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here with you.
Wonderful. So, Shaya is, you are a typical, incredible female high level achiever, executive who decided to become an entrepreneur. So, we're going to have a fun conversation. And I'm sure everyone will be so excited to hear about your story and to also ask you questions. So, if you are tuning in, let us know that where you're connecting from. And if you have any questions, please do put it in the comments for me and for Shaya. So, Shaya, I would like to let you introduce yourself. Tell me about you and who you are.
So I worked in corporate for many years and I loved it. I thought it was wonderful and empowering and I learned so much. And I learned a lot about leadership. I learned a lot about communication. I learned a lot about discipline and I loved what I was doing. I was doing something completely different. I
Mhm.
was designing software for compliance regulations on for Wall Street. So that means
Wow, that's a big
insider
thing.
trading, yeah, insider trading and all of those things. I'm just
Mm.
going to turn this off because it's making noise. So sorry.
Okay.
I didn't want
Shaya
to.
still here? Okay, you're back. That's a good thing about in life. It's all right. So
And
this is exciting. So you are actually making software for Wall Street.
yeah,
Whoa, that's a
design.
big.
I was managing the software team, so I did the design, and then I
Wow.
managed the software team to develop the systems.
What are the softwares for?
So we were monitoring for compliance regulations like insider trading and trading ahead, and there was many different things. So when you're trading on the stock market, there's a lot of laws and regulations that you need to follow. And
That's
if
right.
anybody would be violating any of those, our system would catch it.
Oh wow. So they were actually to for it was more for regulators than for the bankers and the traders, was it?
Right. So the trader, well, for both.
For
It was
both.
for
Okay.
if it was for if the traders themselves were not allowed to trade something if they knew about a stock. So we would catch that if they would like do it through a
Mm.
back door or anything like that. So
Mm.
we had our very, very clever ways to find them.
Wow, that's quite nice. That's very exciting. That's
It,
like, ooh,
it
James
was.
Bond style.
It kind of was. It was really fun. And it was also really fun to see how clever people were. Like,
Really?
you know
Oh,
what I mean? Like it wasn't really um, the right thing for them to do, but it was so interesting to see how people's minds are so clever. And I
that's
thought to myself, if they could use that cleverness in a powerful way, in an empowered way, how much they can accomplish in their life.
oh, that's for sure. Yeah. Oh, so how long have you done that for?
Oh, I've done that. Well, I started out when I was like really young,
Okay.
right out of like right out of like maybe a year or two out of high school.
Oh, really? Okay, that young.
While
Oh.
I was, yeah, I trained in technology for like intensive a year, and I did
Mm,
that for many years. And
mm.
then a couple years back, like more than a couple years back, I knew it was time for me to do a shift change and do something completely different because I wanted to help people. You know, I
Okay.
was helping a corporation and I learned plenty, but I wanted to help people
Mm,
improve their lives and better their lives. And And I knew that there were ways to do that, and people just didn't know that they had access to more empowerment of their own life. And
Mm.
so I wanted to help them find that. And now I help them do that through entrepreneurship.
Amazing. I love this. But how long did you work on Wall Street and on the banking and financial system before deciding that it's time for you now to do something different?
I think it was definitely about 15 years or so.
So that's not just a decision you just made quickly. It's like, no, yeah.
Yeah. What While I was working, because I started really young. So while
Yeah.
I was working, I was like finding myself in my life. I was finding my true passion, and I was finding out who I was.
Mhm.
And I always was this person who people came to for advice.
That's
So
nice.
I
Mm.
thought I always found that very interesting, because even people who were older than me would ask me advice. And
Wow.
when I was younger, I thought that was like, why is that happening? But I
Mm.
realized that that was a gift that I had, to be able to share with people another way to see things, more
Mm.
ways to look at something, which would open their perspectives.
Yeah.
So I loved that. And a friend of mine said to me, he said, you should do this. Like, you should do this for your life. So I went to school while I was working,
Okay.
intensive school, to get my coaching certification. And
Mhm.
then once I got my coaching certification, I realized that um, yes, I can empower people one by one, but what if I can help people who want to make their life better
Mhm.
through entrepreneurship? Because not only do they change their personal life, they change their financial life, they
Of
change
course.
every aspect of their life.
Yeah.
And then they can take that and live a bigger life, because now they're doing something that aligns with their own purpose,
Mm.
and they can get rewarded for that financially and build a life of their dreams.
That's
So that,
amazing.
yes, that's why I called my,
Yes. Thank you, everyone. See?
what's that? Oh, is that from people? Oh, so sweet. Thank you.
Yes. So, what does it mean now for you to help people be an entrepreneur? Is it more to give them the skills to become an entrepreneur or to show them how?
When I left corporate, I was used to having that corporate lifestyle. Like, you go to work, you get a paycheck, you come home, you don't have to think about the other
No,
things.
and you probably have a good paycheck because you're on Wall Street. So it's like, when am I gonna do this?
Okay, thank God. Um, but
It's
but
true.
but I
It
did,
takes a lot.
other than office politics, which is
Mhm,
another story.
mhm.
You don't have to worry about like where the money's coming from, because you know that you're having that consecutively. But when you leave corporate, and I got my my certification as a coach, you think, oh, so people are going to just come. That's not how it works. Like, you
But
have to.
that's interesting. So you left and then you started. You didn't start as you were working. You didn't do that in parallel. You trusted yourself. You're like, you know what? I'm just gonna go and do it.
Yeah,
It
I
takes a lot of
started like
courage.
maybe a tiny bit, but then
Uh-huh.
I wanted to kind of go like full force. And so leave corporate, and because it was time.
Yeah.
The market was changing. Uh,
Mhm. Okay.
the
Mhm.
company was bought out by another company, and their politics was not so comfortable to be around, and so
Mm.
it's time to go. It was
So
hard
the
to.
circumstances kind of helped you recomfort yourself in your decision, basically.
Correct. And
Yeah.
reconfirm that this was the right choice and the right.
That's good. Yeah, that's really because you heard the signs, right? Because a lot of people hear those signs, but like, it's okay. I'm gonna keep on going and I'm gonna keep on doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done. Hmm.
I think corporate has become like so different. When I started working at Merrill Lynch. It was a very home type of, like, family oriented type of environment. And
Hmm.
then when we were bought out by other companies, it sort of changed the culture. And I think a lot of people were uncomfortable with the culture and the way that things were moving. So
Okay. Hmm.
People were in general feeling similar to me. And luckily, I was
Hmm.
doing something on the side to prepare for this. So it was the good direction. But when I came out, you don't, I didn't know anything about being an entrepreneur. Just getting your certification or getting your learning another trade is not enough to just
Of
go out.
course not. Oh, yes.
You have to learn how to do that. You have to learn all the basics of what you need. And so, and also the biggest thing you need to learn is not just the strategy and the techniques, but the biggest thing is the mindset shift.
Mm.
Thinking
Oh, yeah.
completely like it, right? You know what I'm talking about.
The thinking is completely different. You don't think the same way.
Completely different. It's like a new person. It's like
Yeah.
creating.
Oh, yeah. It's like, I mean, I call it being reborn. It's like you create yourself differently. You have to.
Yeah,
Yeah. You have to bring some new habits, some new discipline into your life. Yeah.
exactly. Completely different. So yes, so you see, you know what I'm talking about. And
How, yeah, but how did you do it? Because it's tough. It's really tough.
it's really tough. I worked hard to focus on mindset, and which is really important.
Mm,
And I work on that every day of my life because
mm,
even when you change your mindset, there's always more mindset shifts to make, and which
yeah.
just expands your life even more. So it's a very important part of my life, changing
Mhm,
mindset in
mhm.
personal, professionally, and every level. Because when you see things differently from a more open perspective, you're just able to live a bigger life
Yeah.
from every aspect. And that is why I called my company Spherical Success, because it's not just in one area. So
Mhm.
when I focused on what I wanted to share with people who are leaving corporate or people who are just starting out as an entrepreneur, it's to build a strong foundation. Because when
Mhm.
people just start their business and they're not yet knowing, like, what am I doing? Am I clear on my message and my branding, and what is my signature system, all that stuff.
Mhm.
So that if you are getting clear on that, that is a strong foundation for you to have a successful future and to be
Mhm.
able to scale from there. But you have to build that strong foundation first, which
Yeah.
includes those techniques, those strategies, and the mindset piece.
It includes the mindset. Yeah. Because the strategy is not enough. You can have the best strategy, but if your mindset is not on top, you'll give up before seeing any results. Because it's, yeah, so true. And how long did it take you to start feeling like, oh, it was the good decision that I made to move on? Hold on. Mm.
Well, pretty much right away.
Okay.
But also when I work with somebody and see them making these changes,
Yeah.
that really confirms it. And that just brings me so much joy to
Mm.
see them saying, oh, wow, I could just look at things a different way, or look, I can get my
Mm.
message clear. And they feel so confident in what they need to do. And it changes their whole life. And it's just
Yeah.
beautiful to watch.
Because they open their consciousness to other possibilities which they can't see themselves. Yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah.
like how you state
That's nice.
the way you
Hmm.
stress that consciousness.
So do you help more entrepreneurs? Is that what you focus on? It's like really how to create, to become an entrepreneur? Mm.
Well, mainly right now, that is what
Mhm.
I'm doing. I plan down the road to expand that even more. But right now, I am helping people to either, if they're starting out as an entrepreneur or they're transferring from corporate to entrepreneur, or if
Mm.
they've just started and they're just not getting the traction that they need,
Yeah.
then we get down and we get the foundation solid.
Okay. So it's really setting up that foundation so that they can stand on something that can be, built. They can build things up on it. That's really good.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, what do you feel the trend now is the same, is more of people wanting to leave corporate to become an entrepreneur, or what is your feeling about that?
Think for quite some time it's been that way, and then after COVID, for sure it was that way, because they call it the Great Resignation.
Oh yeah.
People who were just frustrated with the way that they had to work for somebody else, that they didn't agree with the ways that they were taking their business, for example,
Mhm.
or the way that they were treated in corporate.
Mm.
So I found that that was a lot. of the trend that people wanted to say, you know what? Because I think that it was very interesting when COVID hit, you saw all of this creativity coming out,
Yes, that's
right?
true. Yeah.
There was a lot of people who said, "Oh, I'm just miserable," and they chose that mindset. But the other
Mhm.
people said, "What can I do at this time?" And
Mm.
there's just so much creativity coming out, and I think people realize, "Hey, I have all this creativity inside me. What can I do with that?" And
Yeah.
so these people are coming out and say, "I could leave my corporate job. I
Right.
could do something with my purpose, and I can create something of my own."
It's like people discovering their own talents.
Yeah.
That's what COVID accelerated, probably. It's like, okay, I
And
have. Mm?
and realizing that they could monetize their unique gifts.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which they probably didn't give the gift or the talent a chance to be because they were too busy going to the 9 to 5 jobs. When you suddenly have all this time, then you're like, okay, let me see who I am really. It's like I'm me with myself. So let's discover it. It's true.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's very true. It's like there is so much talent, and we always say that. It's like don't look for what others are doing. Find your own talent and use it. Use it to shine your light, use it to create something, use it to attract money into your life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big part of what you do.
Yes, it is. It's
Yeah.
almost, I mean, like what I do is really creating leaders because to me, and I work a lot with women, and to me, every woman is born to be a leader. But some of them, they let that themselves being suffocated with responsibilities and being really completely controlled with their habitual behaviors, and some others or and then until one day something hit them and they're like, oh, I wake up, so they wake up. And that's what they realize. They're like, oh, I can do something bigger. Or they realize they have really a big strength inside them because of their resilience, things they didn't do and they didn't know they had. And that's when it start becoming possible for them to create a better life.
Yeah.
And that's really women leading themselves. It's like, because leadership is leading yourself first, and that's what we're talking about. If you want to lead yourself, you take the decision and you go on and you act on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you find the guidance from people who have done it and who know how to step by step take you there.
I love that point. Very good. Did you have some of that in your career?
Absolutely. In my career and in my personal life, like I said, I it's really important for me to strive every day to learn and grow. And so
Mhm.
I always find I was very picky in terms of who I would follow and not just follow people who were like singing rah rah, follow me, because
Yes.
that could be very enticing. And they're like, wow, I got so much inspiration. But then they go home and they do the same old thing as before. So for me, it was important to find people who can teach me how to shift so that I'm no longer doing the old behavior. And so that's what I love to do with people as well.
Mm. Which means it's not only getting the information by being able to integrate it so that you actually transform inside you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's very good point because you said it very well. I mean, social media is full of that. And, we hear many things, tips from here, strategy from here, next thing, now do this, now do that. And it's quite, it can be really confusing because you're like, what do I follow? Who do I listen? And it can be overwhelming. Yeah. And so you have to know.
Yeah, and sometimes it's trial and error, and sometimes you just when you get used to realizing, oh, I I see that this is helping me so that I'm no longer doing this. eh, because tips and tricks are and strategies are really important, and those things are critical to learn. But
Mhm.
but when there's, let's say, a behavior that you don't want to continue, so how do we release that from ourselves? Release it from our emotions, release it from our bodies, release it from our consciousness, so that way we can step into a more empowered consciousness.
So how do you do that? What can you share with people watching us today that could help? Like one or two, one tip.
Well, it's important to be fully self-aware of yourself and
Mhm,
honest with yourself your about who you are and
mhm,
about what you would like to release.
mhm,
So that means letting go of blame and
Yeah.
criticism and judgment.
Mm.
Because if we blame somebody else, we're not looking at how can I change this inside of me,
Right. That's true.
right?
Yeah.
So that's really the first step, is
Mhm.
not having no judgment. I mean, letting go of judgment, because that's always a process. Everybody's always letting go of that.
Mhm.
That's something we can continue to do. But
Mhm.
if we blame, then we're not taking responsibility. And what that means, it doesn't mean that we're blaming ourselves, because sometimes it's not our fault. From our
Yeah.
environment, we learned something, and we just grew up doing something a certain way we thought was normal. And
Yes.
right,
Mm.
so
Mhm.
becoming aware of that and saying, okay, no, I don't want to do that anymore.
Mhm.
I'm just letting that go, and you consciously make an effort to not repeat that behavior. I do have certain techniques that I take people through in a session
Amazing.
that
Mhm.
actually releases it from the body level, from the frequency level. So I
Mm.
do that, but from the beginning, you have to be willing to be aware of yourself, and
Mhm.
take really true inventory about what you're doing. And it's not to blame yourself, like I was saying, it's not to blame yourself, but to take responsibility and say, okay, so I've done this all my life, but I'd like to change and do something better to improve my life overall.
Mhm. Yeah, very good. Very well said. Because it's true, we tend to blame ourselves and trying to blame others. And often that's what stops us. We stops us because we get so mean against ourselves and hating ourselves for things. It's true. And you're like, oh, and so you get caught up into this very negative ways of being, which makes you attract more of those negative way of beings. And you're like, oh, I'm doomed for something bad. And your vocabulary start to change to become really aligned with those blaming attitude. And that's what's hard. So it's really is like removing one person from one sphere of being judgmental, being worried, scared, blaming, doubting everything, to another new sphere.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's hard work. It's not hard work. It's like discipline. It's like you make the decision and you did. But that takes a lot of knowing that you can do it, right? Yourself. I mean, being able to spend 15 years in the banking and the financial sector in Wall Street, that means you're a tough cookie. You're somebody who does the thing and you're like, your word is law. It's like, I'm going to do this and I'll do it. So you have that in you, but some don't have that. How can they, is it, does it, I'm like, how do you bring anyone to become disciplined, to be able to shift their mindset, to go into entrepreneurship? That's where the work needs to be done. And this is, yeah.
I
Mhm.
think everyone has it inside of them,
Yeah.
but they have to find it and tap into it, because when a baby is born, do you ever see a baby? They don't think that anything's wrong with them. They think,
No.
I to my pants. Whoa, that's so great.
Yes, I like, absolutely. It's like we celebrate everything about them.
We
Everything.
do. And we don't find anything wrong with them, and everything is perfect, and it's just wonderful. So children don't have that.
No.
I think it's society, when they're growing up, we say, "Oh, don't do this and don't do that and don't do the other thing." And that starts to close their world.
Mm.
But then they forget that they have all of this power inside of them. And so it's reminding them. And some of the people, because I was listening to one of your videos, and
Yes.
your mom told you, okay, lights out, it's time to go to sleep. And you're like, no, I want to study more. And I'm like, you took the flashlight and you're like,
I
what
did. Do
thing?
you know that's funny thing? It is so true. I was 16 years old and I spent every night doing that. And up to now, I have no idea what can motivate a 16-year-old to do that. And I look at my kids who are teenagers now, I'm like, will they be able to do something like this? I'm like, I'm observing and I am having a kick out of this, because it's like, how did I believe so much that my only way to go to Harvard, to bigger engineering school, was to just be the top of the class?
I mean, how impressive is that? Like, you didn't even
Yes,
come from this country and you went to Harvard.
yes, but that because I believe truly that I was capable and I'm gonna make it happen. But
Right.
that's because it's just, I don't know what. So how did I get so motivated? because I believed in better were life for the girls at that moment, because there was a moment where a time where, and that's what's nice. I think we can share this, that you also have an origin from Morocco, so this is how we connected.
How we connect.
And and that's what's incredible, is to be able to become an inspiring story for others, showing them that no matter where you are, no matter how circumstances can feel and seem impossible, you can create the life that you want against all the odds. Yeah. We got a hello from Tunisia. Hi. We have some people connecting from all over. So what is it that today helps you become the incredible woman you are, an entrepreneur, an executive, a beautiful role model for every woman? What do you think? Is it your multicultural background? Is it your hard work? What is it?
It must be a combination of everything, because I really loved having a multicultural background because it exposed me to so many different perspectives.
Mhm.
And that's one of my gifts, is that I'm able to look at people from completely different backgrounds and say, oh, I remember like when I was just out of high school, because I grew up in a very um, a community that was, everybody was more similar to each other. So when I
Mhm.
went out in the world, I remember seeing like all different types of people, and I was so curious. I'm like, what do you do in your life, and what is your life like, and how is
Yes.
it different than how I grew up, type of thing. So
Mm,
it made me really curious, and I just maybe naturally had that curiosity, and I
mm.
found it fascinating and fun, and I thought, wow, want to know I really want to know about all of this. And so, and also, my parents were really, really wonderful people. And I remember my mom was from Morocco, my dad was American. And so we would have people from all cultures coming to our home, and they were very welcoming of that. And so that taught me that, oh, everything is okay and everything is welcome, everything is cool. There wasn't any of that, oh, you're those type of people are not welcome here. We didn't have that. So I think that was really positive influence for me.
Mm.
And oh, from Casablanca.
Oh,
And
and
it's really nice. And so my parents are a great influence. Um, then just I just always like I said, I had always this curiosity, and I always knew that there was more to find out there. There was more to learn, and there was more to find, and I was always very curious about finding more, and becoming more. And like you said, that leadership quality
yes,
is lead by example.
it is.
But I didn't know that I was leading when I was younger. I knew that there was more to learn, that I can access more in my life and have a more expansive life.
Mm.
Would access more information or more learning or more paradigm shifts. And so that's kind of the stuff that drove me. And then going to corporate was great because it taught me all that discipline that I needed to learn to put whatever it is together. And I think that everybody is a product of all of the time since they're born till today,
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
which I'm sure is true for you.
Which is so true, because and that's what makes you so special, and what makes everyone watching us and listening to us so special and so unique. And I think the moment you realize that you have that uniqueness in you, and you can capitalize on it, use it, and have be proud of it, and turn everything about blaming and feeling guilty and feeling bad into some beautiful energy that you can use.
I love the way you said that.
Mm.
Every single person is unique and special.
Mm.
And it's only when they forget that about themselves
Yes.
that they cannot thrive. But
Yeah.
when they can remember that,
Mm.
and they can access what they need to thrive and move forward.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ella, for saying that. Ella is just saying so brilliant. Spirit. Love this discussion. Thank you for being with us. And you are very special and very unique. And this is a message to everyone. And it's a beautiful closing sentence. What a delight to have you, Shaya, with me today. I think this is a beautiful episode to really make every woman and man, because they were watching us today, that they have talent inside them. There is a uniqueness, there is beauty inside them. And the whole thing is about to remember that. That's it. That's what it takes.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on our
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
episode.